It is now my honor to invite Her Excellency, Ms. Jacinda Ardern, Prime Minister of New Zealand, to address this distinguished gathering.
Ina mana, ina reo, ina rangatira mā, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Kia ora and namaste. I would like to begin by acknowledging the host of this event, Prime Minister Modi, and I want to thank you for the invitation to speak here today. Our presence here, I hope, is a reflection of the close ties between New Zealand and India, but also the legacy of Mahatma Gandhi, which was felt in the furthest corners of the globe, including New Zealand, where I learnt of Mahatma Gandhi as a schoolgirl. I would also like to acknowledge my fellow speakers. As political leaders, there is much that we can learn from Gandhi as we search for common ground to address the world's pressing problems. For me, there are three aspects of Gandhi's message that carry particular weight: tolerance, equality, and the sanctity of non-violence and peace. These are values that we should always keep in the forefront of our minds, but not just in good times, but especially when faced with difficult choices. In New Zealand, we have recently witnessed the tragic consequences of intolerance and violence. An act of terrorism that sought to divide us, that took the lives of 51 innocent worshippers. Yet in the face of this act of hatred and violence, the New Zealand Muslim community opened their doors for all New Zealanders and the world to grieve with them. Their act of peace was a powerful and empowering message. In opening their doors, they sowed the seeds of diversity, humanity, forgiveness, and what we call in New Zealand, aroha, or love. They broke a potential cycle of violence. At a time when religion could have been used to divide us, we saw the unifying power of interfaith and intercultural understanding. We witnessed, as Gandhi himself understood, the inner truth of all faiths, the commonalities of dignity, of humanity and compassion that bind all people, and indeed all religions. The 15 March attacks are a tragedy that we will not forget and that require us to reflect on what we need to do and be if we're to create the society that we desire. But we also have to be reminded of the power of holding true to the values that should be universal. As Gandhi himself said, the very first step in non-violence is that we cultivate in our daily life, as between ourselves, truthfulness, humility, tolerance, and loving kindness. We must build societies that are inclusive of all religions, races, genders, and that solve disputes without recourse to violence. New thinking is also required to address the inequality that continues to blight the existence of many. These are challenges for my country, New Zealand, just as they are for many others. But like Gandhi, we should not be afraid to stand up and transform our societies for the better. Gandhi also modelled the expression of political dissent through non-violent opposition. Gandhi's peaceful march across Western India to protest against attacks on salt created a path for countless other non-violent political movements throughout the 20th and 21st centuries. We continue to see this power today as our young people march to effect change across the globe, creating a safe space for the expression of different ideas, for political debate and dialogue, whether it be on the streets or online, remains an essential part of our democratic and pluralistic societies. It is critical in resolving tensions in a peaceful manner. I believe that Gandhi's legacy is as relevant today as it ever was. It calls on us to reject bigotry and embrace kindness and truth. It calls on us to strive for equality no matter how difficult and entrenched systems are, and it demands that we recognise the lasting value of peace. Let us all recommit to those principles as we acknowledge 150 years of an enormous legacy. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.